Have you ever felt, after a long day at work or a senseless argument in traffic, an exhaustion that doesn't seem to come from your body? It's not muscle fatigue, nor is it a lack of sleep. It's a hollowness, as if something, somewhere, had drained the battery of your soul. Science tells us this is just cortisol stress running through your veins. But your instinct, the one that screams in the silence, knows you aren't just tired, you've been consumed. In the architecture of this reality, energy isn't just about calories or electricity. There is a form of fuel that is much purer, denser, and more valuable: your emotional vibration. To the architect of this simulation, your emotions aren't feelings, they are photons of vital energy. And the system wasn't designed to make you happy, but to keep you productive. And for the Matrix, productive means generating constant spikes of low-frequency energy: fear, anger, anxiety, guilt. Think about the world around you. Observe how the news is designed to keep you in a state of high alert. How social media is programmed to cause you envy or outrage. How cities are loud, chaotic, and grey. This isn't a lack of urban planning or bad luck. It's design. It's a perfectly orchestrated farm. You are not the owner of your emotions. You are the power source that keeps the city lights on. Every time you lose your temper, every time fear chokes your breath, the system receives a charge. They don't want your body. They want your frequency. And as long as you believe your stress is a personal problem, you will continue to be the silent battery of a world that feeds on you. If you feel your energy being drained by a system you didn't choose, this is the moment to change your frequency. Leave a like and follow the channel. Let's learn to protect our light together. If you've understood that we are the battery of this world, now we need to understand how this milking happens in the daily life. Have you noticed how certain negative situations seem to repeat themselves with mathematical precision? That neighbor who always makes noise the moment you finally find a second of peace. That annoying email that arrives exactly when you are starting to feel creative. That family argument that explodes over a subject that has been resolved 1,000 times. Psychology calls this behavioral patterns. The Matrix calls it harvest optimization. Imagine the system has a thermal map of your consciousness. It knows exactly which buttons to push to generate an emotional electrical discharge within you. They don't need grand tragedies all the time. In fact, they prefer the constant drip. An irritation here, a small dose of envy there, a moment of unnecessary haste over there. These low-frequency micro-vibrations are easier to collect and process. They keep your spirit in a state of sati-exhaustion, ensuring you never have enough accumulated energy to look up and notice the bars. Have you ever wondered why the most shared news is what generates hate? Why the most watched movies are those that generate fear? Because fear and hate are the densest and most energetic frequencies a human being can produce. It is the oil of the simulation. Think about the great world events, the crises that seem never-ending, the divisions that separate people by colors, flags, or ideologies. The system loves polarization. When you choose a side and start hating the other, you are sending a massive charge of energy directly to the architect's servers. They don't care who is right or wrong. They care about the voltage of your anger. You are like a light bulb that shines brighter when under pressure. And while you waste your vital energy fighting shadows projected on the wall, the system expands, fueled by the very force that is destroying you from within. Now, look at the people around you. Have you ever felt that someone sucked the joy out of you with just a comment? In the simulation, not all avatars are at the same level of consciousness. There are background processes that act as frequency vampires. They are programs or users so disconnected from their own source that they need to steal the light from those who still shine. The system uses these people as balancing tools. Whenever you start to raise your vibration, whenever you start to emanate peace and clarity, the Matrix sends a drainage agent to pull you back into the emotional mud. It's a defense mechanism of the simulation. No one can get too bright, or the darkness of the system would become too obvious to ignore. You are not just a biological body trying to survive. You are an antenna, and what you call feelings are the waves this antenna emits. If you tune into the frequency of scarcity, you feed scarcity. If you tune into the frequency of fear, you strengthen fear. The question you need to ask yourself at the end of each day, when you feel drained and empty, isn't why was my day so bad, but rather, who did I feed today with my energy? The system counts on your automatic reaction. It counts on your scream, your tear, and your stress. The secret to breaking the harvest isn't fighting the system, but making your energy indigestible to it. If the system feeds on our reaction, the greatest act of rebellion you can exercise isn't the scream, but conscious silence. Have you noticed how, in moments of greatest chaos, something inside you begs for you to react, to scream back, to feel the weight of injustice, to sink into deep sadness? This impulse isn't yours. It's the system knocking on your terminal door, demanding its daily quota of energy. The matrix is an attention parasite. It needs you to look at the chaos, to feel small, and to vibrate at the frequency of scarcity. The moment you withdraw your attention from the drama, the milking stops. The transmission channel is cut. The secret the architect tries to hide at all costs is that your energy is, in fact, creative. When you are in a state of peace, joy, or genuine gratitude, your frequency becomes too refined for the system's processing. It's like trying to run high-resolution software on old, infected hardware. The system simply cannot digest that light. That's why the Matrix does everything to keep you in the emotional basement. It wants you to believe that happiness is something you achieve out there, in the future, after much stress and struggle. But the truth is that joy is your natural factory state. It is the original voltage of your soul before being filtered through the simulation's cables. Protecting your frequency begins with the awareness of your invisible diet. What you watch, what you hear, and especially who you share your energy field with. Every sensationalist news report is a programmed vampire. Every toxic social media discussion is a black hole of vital charge. When you start selecting what enters your field of vision, you begin to accumulate energy. And when you have energy to spare, the impossible happens. You start to see the flaws in the rendering. You start to realize that fear is just a static image projected on the wall of your mind to keep you still. The truth they tremble to think you'll discover is this: you are not a disposable battery in a giant machine. You are the generator. You are the very source of light they try to channel and enslave. They need you, but you don't need them. The exhaustion you feel isn't a sign of weakness. It's the sign that you are being sucked dry because you are too valuable. You are liquid gold in a world of ashes. They created religions, politics, wars, and crises just to ensure you never look inward and realize that the key to your freedom lies in the quality of your presence. The next time the world tries to rattle you, when injustice knocks on your door, or when fear tries to paralyze your steps, take a deep breath. Perceive the cable trying to connect to your chest, and with the authority of someone who owns their own consciousness, simply disconnect. Refuse to feed the shadows. Choose the frequency the system cannot read. The game only continues as long as you accept being the fuel, but the moment you decide to shine on your own, the machines stop. The architect loses control, and the simulation begins to crumble before the truth of what you really are. The harvest is over. Their reservoir is drying up, and you finally stopped being the food and returned to being the master of your own light. This video is your shield. If you felt your energy being recovered while listening to these words, you are now part of the resistance. Write down in the comments, "My frequency is mine." I want to see the strength of our community growing and protecting each other's light. Share this broadcast with that person who lives exhausted and needs to know they aren't sick, just being drained. The next consciousness patch is coming. Don't let yourself be carried away by the current. The harvest is over. The frequency is yours. Wake up.